And it wouldn't really matter if it was Zelda or Leroy, The Legend of Leroy. Like, it would still be a great game, you know?
But would you play it?
I would probably play it more if it was The Legend of Leroy. Hi, my name Leroy. We going on an adventure. Let's go. You know, like, I would love that game. Leroy.
I got the master stick from the bayou.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Super Agile Bros, where we talk about everything and nothing. I hope you guys are doing well. We got this crew in the building. Of course, myself, Bradston Henry in the game. Kyle is in the building. Kyle, tell the people, hey.
What's going on, y'all? Hey.
What's happening? And of course, we got Steve in the building. Tell the people, hello.
Hello.
Okay, we're gonna probably just cut that, but no, I'm kidding. It's great to have the guys here. It's been fun. We've been doing this for a while now, so we'll keep on doing it. So today is gonna be fun because this has been actually a topic I've been looking forward to talking about for a while, and I've kind of threw it at the guys before, and I'm happy we finally got the opportunity to do it. We're gonna talk about online gaming. So just a preface. Just for those who might be listening, when I say online gaming, I don't necessarily just mean like Halo and, you know, whatever, Call of Duty and Battlefield, but I also mean like just the online gaming experience of like Flash games, like any game you play online, because I think there's so much to talk about it. It's kind of a thing that's been happening, you know, for the last, 30, 40 years, but it's still like kind of fresh to me. So yeah, anyway, I wanted to start the conversation out with a simple question to the guys. And I guess to myself is, do you guys remember what your first like online gaming experience was? Like, what was the first game you played online and like where it was, when it was, what year, whatever details and what that experience was like? Because for me, I remember it. And for me, it was actually, I mean, maybe I played a game before this, but I think my first online game experience was Yahoo Pool. Do y'all ever play Yahoo Pool?
I did.
No.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I'm happy somebody else played it. Kyle did, Steve. I wonder if they still, I wonder if it's still around. I think it's
Probably to a degree.
So.
I mean, like there were 1,000 billiard clones around the same time. So
yeah,
it might still be kicking.
Yeah, man, that thing was fire back in the day. Like, I remember I probably was in like 7th grade or something like that, or 8th grade, maybe even 6th. But yeah, man, Yahoo Pool. I found out about it. I don't even know how, but it was like Yahoo used to have this whole section of like online games, like that you could play with other people. And this is before like the whole like advent of like ads and not ads, I don't know, public service announcements and like TV shows talking about like online predators.
Oh yeah.
So
the internet was a
chatting up with somebody.
You said what now, Steve?
When the internet was a free and joyous place.
Yes, it was truly free for everybody,
safe,
for good or for worse. And I mean, I will say personally, I've never been a victim of any like online criminality per se. At least perpetrated against me. But yeah, I used to go on the Yahoo Pool, and first of all, just for context, Yahoo Pool was just literally you played pool with another person, like a random other person online, and it had a chat feature though, and that's what blew my mind.
Yeah,
because everybody used to do, and y'all know what this means, ASL. Y'all know what that?
Yeah,
age, sex, location, and of course, nowadays, I would probably never tell a child to do this, but I for sure was doing it. So every time you enter the chat, it'd be like ASL, and I'd be like 14, Georgia, and male, right? And the other person would be like, oh, like 16, female, Arkansas.
You wish.
No,
they'd
really.
be lying, of course.
Look, man, I got a whole story about that, my first online experience, but Yahoo Pool was a spot for me. It was where I learned everything about online games, and literally I don't think I ever stopped playing online games from then. So what about you guys? What was y'all's first online game that y'all's ever played?
So I thought I understood what you meant when you said online games being like, oh, like games online. But then you start talking about Yahoo Pool and how you play with person. So I have to ask, are you talking about multiplayer games, or do you just mean any game played in a browser?
I am kind of saying both because honestly, I don't remember playing any game really before then, really online. So you can take it either way. Like maybe I played. No, I can't think of anything before Yahoo Pool. That was the beginning for me.
I can't think of any of these old like browser games I ever played that were multiplayer. My earliest experience. Oh yeah, it's true. I think my first online like flash gaming experience was on Cartoon Network's website.
Oh snap! That's right. Games.
It was
they
called
were fire.
It was called Gassy Gary, and you played a little boy in a pool, and you had, I think, like limited air. You had a snorkel on for some reason, though it doesn't make any sense. And the school bullies were throwing cans of beans and cans of like, I don't know, whatever, something, soda at you. And you had to swim around and catch the beans and avoid the soda. And you had to throw up, or you had to fart and let the bubbles rise and hit the bullies. And then, you would gas them out of the pool area.
Yo, Flash games were on another level, man.
Yo, and them Cartoon Network ones, they knew the audience 100%.
Oh, for sure. I also played, this isn't an online, technically it was also an online game, but there was some game I would play with my friend, like my childhood best friend, my neighbor. He'd come over or I'd go over. And it was a one-player game, but we would split it up. It was like a I don't know how to say, like a third person, like a Tetris or a Galaga type game where you're avoiding, you're like a submarine avoiding like underwater monsters and stuff, and you can shoot. So one of us would be shooting and one of us would be navigating, even though it's supposed to be, one person doing both.
Co-op.
Yeah.
Wow. And that was a Flash game, like online somewhere?
I think it was, yeah. I couldn't tell you anything else about it.
It's just like a vague memory, like...
It had sea monsters. That's all I know.
That's super legit.
Nice.
So what about you, Kyle? Like, what was your first?
I'm gonna answer both questions, I guess. So, like my first, like on like a computer game, I guess. It wasn't a multiplayer experience, but it was like in a group of people, and it was like Math Blaster.
Oh, you played that online?
Yeah, there was a browser version. We had the disc version too at our school, but I guess my first formal like multiplayer online gaming experience was RuneScape.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so I started RuneScape in 8th grade. And one of my really good friends, he had a paid account, and it was just like so mind-blowing. I see him in game, he'd been playing for months, years, I don't even know how long, but he had a super high level character, all this really cool gear. And I was there with my level 5 character, my bronze sword and my leather armor. I remember one faithful day, because I played for like a year with him faithfully. He never said anything about, having a paid account. But one day he was like, hey, my parents gave me a credit card. Do you want me to pay for your account? It was $5 a month.
Your friend was he was MVP right there.
Yo,
said, I got the credit card. I got you.
And when I tell you, I didn't hesitate. I was like, yeah, I gave him all my account info. I gave him my password, and he could have did the thing. He could have did the work. He could have changed it. But he didn't. He made good. He paid my account until I got banned.
He made good by you, not by his parents.
Yeah, his parents were like, I see a lot of this weird RuneScape on my credit card. $500. Wait. So let's stop here for a second. You said until you got banned. I need to hear about this.
So, yeah, I got banned because I was recruiting my other friends to play because I wanted to show them all my cool stuff. So I'd reached like level 60. I got this Maul hammer. And another one of my friends was like, hey, what's this game you guys are always talking about? I was like, oh, it's RuneScape. It's online adventure game. All these quests and stuff. You should join us. And so he played for a couple of days. And then one day he was having trouble with his account. I don't remember, but it was before the days of like Discord and stuff. So I couldn't just talk to him. And so we were there's like a whisper function, I guess, in the game where you could direct message each other. Yeah. And so in that we were talking, and I was trying to work through, what was going on with his account. And then without even thinking, I was like, you know what? Just email me over your username and password and I'll figure it out for you. And bro, when I tell you, like, within the next 30 minutes, like, we were walking down the road in the game, we were having a good time, and I just got booted. Wow. And my heart sunk. I was like, what happened? Because I'd never even, like, hidden a spike or anything where I got booted from the game. Like, that was my first boot experience.
Oh, no.
And I tried to log in, and it was like, your account has been terminated for breaking the rules.
Oh, they went straight to termination?
Yes. Like, it was unrecoverable when you asked somebody for their password. Like, that was the highest sin on RuneScape.
What?
Well, how did your friend get your stuff to buy your account?
Well, I gave him my stuff at school.
Oh, offline.
Yeah.
So was the person that you were trying to help, was this just a complete internet friend, or was this person at least a real person that you knew?
He was a real person. Yeah, he was another guy I went to school with. So, yeah, we would talk about the game at school, and that's how I got him to start playing. And so we were online whenever he was having the issues. And, yeah, so that's where I asked him over the chat. And
wow. That's
for
trash.
weeks, I sent in appeals and stuff, and they were like, no, we can't reopen your account. You broke. And they would send me the line number and say asking for, like, soliciting passwords or something. I forgot what it was, but
wow,
it broke me for a while, man.
Dude, that would break me. I mean, it's very different, but I think 100% why I can't play Pokemon to this day is because of a similar experience of, like, losing everything that I had.
Mm-hmm.
But that's super wild, man. So have you ever played RuneScape since?
I tried to. Whenever RuneScape came out, there was like a third edition or something. Because I started playing RuneScape after they upgraded from Classic. Classic was 2D, and then the upgrade was 3D. Okay. So whenever this last iteration came out, probably 5 years ago?
I think it was a long time ago, actually.
Yeah. I think you're right. It was longer than 5 years ago. So I tried it then, and yeah, those feelings were welling up, so I had to put it back down. Couldn't do it.
It's a literal trauma. That's crazy, son.
Yeah. And I love RuneScape because it's one of the few games where classes don't really matter. Like, you can level up any skill at any time. You could be a level 99 in every skill if you wanted to. And so you could, switch roles minute to minute, and that was kind of one of my favorite things about it.
Kind of reminds me of a little bit of Skyrim. Is that essentially you could get all your skills maxed out if you put the time in, which is wild. Yeah, I personally never played RuneScape. I think what you just mentioned just, like, brings me back to, like, the whole how the internet has changed in general when it comes to dealing with stuff like that. Because I'm a little bit older than you guys, so when I was in sixth grade is the first time I was introduced to the internet. Like we had, y'all know the Encyclopedia Britannica?
Encarta. Oh.
Encarta, but there was a Britannica one too or something. Mm-hmm. So when I was in, like, 5th and 6th grade, they had those in the physical version, right? Like, you had to go to the library and get them. And, like, right when I was going to, like, 6th, 7th grade, like about to graduate from 6th, they started giving us, like, discs and saying that we could, like, connect to something called the internet to do it. And I was like, bro, first of all, the internet sounds super whack. Like, that's what I like remember thinking that as a 6th grader. Like, this sounds so horrible, and, like, it's only going to be, like, extend school, and, like, all you're going to do is get more homework. Like, I don't know what my thought process was. But, so, like, around 7th grade is when I found Yahoo Pool, and then the internet was mine forever. But I just remember thinking, like, I think I might have shared this story with y'all. Maybe not. I don't know. I shared it a few times with different people. But, like, I almost had. Okay, so when I was playing Yahoo Pool, people would play, like, hey, age, sex, location, and then, like, I would, like, tell them. And I met a girl who was, like, 16 from, like, Arkansas, or, like, 15. She was, like, my age, and we were talking in the pool, and we were getting along. And she was like, "Oh man, you're, like, super cool, like."
I'm sure.
And she was like, "Hey, you should, like, check out, like," and you could see, we had, like, little profiles, like, I can't remember, they were very, very low level, and so it was just like, I'm like, "Oh, she has a profile," and she's like, "Oh, like, you should friend my mom, like, she plays pool too, so maybe we can all play together sometime," and I was like, "Sure." So I friended her mom, and I started playing with her mom like later, and her mom was like, my daughter talks about you all the time, and she thinks you're so awesome and great. No. And she's like, man, I would love to like for you guys to maybe date or something. Like she was saying all this stuff. Like, and honestly, like I don't know, I wasn't suspicious. But at the same time, I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for a relationship.
Yeah.
You know, like
with an internet stranger.
Yeah, like with any human being. Like with the girl I actually had a crush on at my school, you know, like, and I was just like, yeah, like she's super cool. But like what happened was, and this is why I actually think it was a real person, because after I met with her mom, like her mom would come online, but she wouldn't come on anymore. And I was like, hey, like, where's, say her name was Kathy or whatever, or Cindy or something. I was like, where's Cindy? And she's like, oh, she doesn't really play Yahoo Pool that much anymore, but maybe she plays other games. Maybe you can hang out with her. So really, I just kind of talked to her mom for a little bit, and then that was the end of that whole interaction. So it was like, it never went any further than that, but it was like, I just remember it being such a weird, you know, circumstance. Wow. And sure.
Sounds like Cindy's mom's got it going on.
Really, you know.
And what are the odds that both accounts were Cindy?
I mean, now being who I am, being a grown person and thinking about catfishes, like, I feel like it's the same person. But back then, like, people, I really feel like there's very few people, like, who were really doing that kind of stuff yet. Like, everybody was just themselves, like,
trying to figure it out.
Yeah, it was like maybe 5 to 7 years later where I felt like I started to interact with people who were clearly, you know, pseudonyms or anonymous, you know. Like, I don't know if y'all ever had, like, did y'all ever make friends, like, in,
like,
you know, like, online games?
Well, so here's the thing. Sure. I didn't play a lot of online games with people. I played 0. But I did, actually, I don't even remember when I was first introduced to the internet, but when I was in middle school, I was in the junior beta club. And that came with like a, how do I describe this? I guess it was like an online service. So you can make an account and you had like a little email address that they gave you and kind of a GeoCities style website where you could fill out like, I don't know, 5 or 6 forms. It was like early MySpace kind of, right? There was a couple of forms you could fill out and it would fill out this website. And that was my first time playing around with HTML and like, you know, tags and stuff like that. So that was cool. And there was also a bunch of chat rooms, which I barely remember at all. I remember that the chat windows were not sanitized. So you could put you could insert HTML into your own
really?
Into your own messages, yeah. So I would always have like the ugliest fonts and the ugliest colors, like red and green background.
Oh, you're right. I can remember this garbage stuff like that. In chat.
And I had the Joker Man font.
Ooh,
I was that boy. Unreadable, completely illegible. And I don't really remember who I talked to or what we talked about. I remember doing ASL all the time. I think I might have had a chat room girlfriend, but I couldn't tell you what that meant or who she was or what happened. It was so long ago. Eventually I got kicked off the chat rooms because what did I do? I think I said the B word.
Oh.
Oops.
And they were like, oh no, you can't. Oh, no.
You don't do that here.
I don't know. Someone else said it to me and I was DMing for whatever. I don't know what they had messages. Yeah, they had DMs. I was DMing somebody and I was reiterating what had happened. I was like telling a story. And so I got in trouble for basically just
telling on all happening in the beta club.
This was the junior beta club. This is the middle school beta club.
Yo, it was fire in there, boy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, someone said the B word in the junior beta club, and I'm the one who got in trouble for it. Yeah, so there was a lot of that. And then I moved into AIM. And that junk was fire, dude.
It was so
all
fire.
My friends.
That was the thing. That was it.
That was dial up, man. I would just be destroying our phone for hours.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And you'd have it running in the background all the time, you know, so you'd be across the house and you hear doo-doo-doo.
Yep.
Yeah.
I customized my fonts. I customized
Oh, you had to.
my away messages. I customized my little profile. You know, it
Mm-hmm.
had all the fonts, it had all the little pictures and stuff. I'm pretty sure I animated GIFs just for that. Like that was my first experience, like doing any sort of animation
Nice.
in MS Paint and
Oh my.
some dinky
Yeah.
Windows tool for creating GIFs. I would just go on Paint and I'd move the picture a little bit and I would
Oh
save
my
that as a
goodness.
frame. I did so much.
Put in that
Bro.
work.
Bro. Yeah, I
Yo,
was yeah, what were you saying, 3 years? I mean,
I was
Kyle.
I was gonna say, yeah, a similar thing was like for MySpace. You know, you'd make all these. I didn't realize back. You know, looking back now, I can understand, but like it was legit like HTML, CSS we were dealing with back in
Mhm.
those days.
Yeah.
Yeah, to make those things work. I mean, personally, AIM like was a thing, but like I've never liked talking to people. So like unless I was actively doing something with you, I wasn't gonna talk to you, right? So I
Mhm.
had an AIM account, but like I was the worst person to have be an AIM friend with, you know, like because I would never initiate a conversation unless we were like going like we already had talked about it in like real life or something like that, you know. Maybe in college I was a little bit more on AIM because I had a friend, she was big into AIM, and she
Mm.
wanted me to meet her friend who she knew for like 10 years via AIM. Well, but
Mm.
I knew her in real life. Like I knew her in college, and she wanted me to meet her AIM friend who
Wow.
like they had known forever. So like it always I always saw other people like really into it, but like I don't know, like it's always been to me like I only engage with people while I'm actively doing a thing, you know. Um, like I think when I was in high school, I was really big into Age of Empires, and
Ooh.
particularly Age of Empires 2. And like back then, like like this is like me. Okay, I had Yahoo Pool, and by then I had graduated to like going to game. It was like before like things like Xbox Live, you know.
Oh yeah.
So there was no way to like directly connect. Like you couldn't just go somewhere and it would match make you or something. You would
Mhm.
have to go to sites, right? And then find game lobbies that you could go get queued into, and then you could play with other people, right? So you lobby up and then you could play, with people. And like Age of Empires was crazy. I'd play it all the time. And there was all these things like clans, like in any game. But you had to try out for clans. And
Ooh.
so if you played well enough, like in general, and people kind of knew who you were, you might get invited to a clan tryout. And then you'd go play with the clan to see if you were good enough to be a part of their clan. and I mean, I was pretty intense, but I think I just like I went to clan tryouts and they were like, "Oh, you want to try out again? Like you made it to our first stage or second stage." But as I
Mm.
am with everything, I'm like, bro, like this is too much work. Like I just want to play and like work people. So
Yeah, clans and guilds used to really mean something on online games, but now they're just kind of throwaway.
hmm
Well, now, yeah, well, they're throwaway because we no longer need them. We just play with our friends.
Yeah, party
Or
up.
we, yeah, I mean, yeah,
mm.
there's other more effective ways to party up with people who are good or people you know.
Yeah.
So you're saying clans and guilds are not useful because previously
Th-
the only way to connect with people online was through this kind of anonymized guild, that kind of thing, but now that more people play
I,
games.
I think it was, no, I'm saying that the guilds were the most convenient way to meet people and play with like a consistent group.
Yeah, specific people.
But now we don't need to
So but why don't we need to? I don't get it.
because there's other well, there's better party systems built into most platforms. Nintendo. Uh,
Oh boy.
there's there's also like lots of other systems outside of the game world to connect with people, like Twitch and YouTube. You can find people, Discord. Uh, you can play with your friends easier. Like you don't need to like meet new people. And maybe you're right. Maybe part of it is just more people are playing games. More of my friends are likely to be playing a game that I'm playing, so I can just play with them. That might be it. But yeah, I just think there's lots of systems in place now to meet people. Matchmaking is getting better, and there's a lot of games also that don't require like a consistent party of people to play with. You know, games where you're just fighting folks and you never see them again, and that's okay.
That's very interesting.
Or
Yeah,
teams with randoms. Yeah.
yeah, it's a
Like
lot.
that's the default experience rather than playing with a community is the default experience.
Yeah, I remember like I feel like Halo was like just when it first came out and they had the whole Halo 2 in particular. Like, man, just the way they handled online play and like it was like crazy. Like it felt so natural, like especially after all the years of all the garbage ways of trying to play games online with people and friends and having to give them your direct IP address sometimes in order to play with them or whatever. Like you could just get on the not the 360, like the Xbox, and then you like if you had a friend you could connect with them through that, or you could just go into the matchmaking and then it would matchmake you with people of similar skill level, which was crazy automatically. And then like they had the whole tiered system of like, oh, you start at level 1 and you can go to level 50, and it was just super cool. Like they just blew it out the water. And I guess the rest is history, honestly. Like
I miss those days of matchmaking where they had pride in their account, so they wouldn't make Smurf accounts. Like
exactly,
you would usually play with people around your skill level. It wasn't. I'm kind of bitter at Apex if you can't.
So for those who are listening who aren't familiar with the term Smurf, I'll just give a quick definition. Or Shoop or 3M, you see, I keep calling you guys by y'all's like pseudonyms. Kyle and Steve. Kyle, you have some kind of feeling about it. So define what a Smurf is.
Right.
So, yeah.
So on the basic level, a Smurf is somebody who's been playing a game for a long enough time to where they have a very deep understanding of the game. However, the people at their level, like level wise as far as like experience earned and number level gained, are better than them. So what they do is delete their account and start over and play with people who are just starting the game or at lower levels so that they can feel good about themselves.
Yeah.
You assume.
Right? I mean, there's definitely some bias in that definition as far as like personal feelings. I think the way to think about it is imagine somebody playing basketball throughout their life and they go to college and they play college basketball and they realize that they're not good enough to play with their peers, college basketball peers. So they pretend like they're a high school student and then so they can play at high school and win, and get championships and stuff like that.
It's like the movie Like Mike, but backwards.
Dope.
Mike dresses up like Lil Bow Wow, so he can play in elementary school basketball. Yeah. I mean,
dunking
I don't know,
on middle schoolers.
Just dunking on them, like on their little 4-foot goal.
What's Lil Bow Wow up to these days? Is he just Bow Wow now?
He's Bow Wow, and
I saw him recently for something.
He's very extra. I mean, he
was endorsing like a soap or something. I don't remember.
He's kind of like he and what's his name?
Soldier Boy.
Him and Soldier Boy are Soldier Gang. Exactly, they're on the same tip. But apparently, Little Bow Wow makes do-rags. That's like his thing now. Like
an actual useful product.
Yeah, like he has a main brand. I can't remember what the do-rag brand is, but his are actually pretty popular, and he's doing pretty well with do-rags. And him and like Soldier Boy like are friends, and they talk about their hustles together. And like I don't know if they have a podcast, but they like will like FaceTime. You know what I'm saying? Like Instagram live and talk.
Oh wow.
So, but I've watched like a brief clip of them, and they're actually really hilarious. Like because Soldier Boy is so extra, and like Little Bow Wow is like a kind of person who takes himself a little bit too seriously, and then like Soldier Boy is on the complete opposite. So yes. it's a pretty good interaction, but they like each other, so it's not like they're angry. Right. It's like kind of friends goofing on each other.
So it's not tense.
So can we agree to call him Little Do-Rag now, since that's his name?
It would just be Do-Rag. He's
Oh,
not
my bad.
He'd just be Durag.
Young Durag.
Young.
Durag. But no, like I mean, to me, Smurfing is like to me, and we have talked about this before, but like I feel like Smurfing is the epitome of like I don't know, it's something core in your character.
Bad sportsmanship.
Yeah, like you
Yes.
struggle with. Like you can't accept that you're just you're not that good. You might be okay, you know?
Like you're willing to do whatever you have to do. Like you're willing to cut off your own leg to go win because you know that with your other 3 limbs, you're still better than a literal baby who's out on the field with you. It's like, that's enough for me to go win.
So in Apex, is there any way to lose rank? Like, you know, if people start crapping on you, do you go lower in the rankings, or are you just stuck getting crapped on by these people?
So, okay. So are you talking about ranking as far as like ranked play?
Just however matchmaking is set up, however the game decides that you belong in the same arena as these other people.
Okay. From my understanding, there's 2 different ranking systems. There's the ranked play and then the general play, right? And in the general play, it's based on like your kill death ratio, which is KDR. And it's also like just based on like how you perform in general, you know, in games and stuff like that. So that is fluid. So you can go down, but it's like that's what people do, right? Like they purposely lose games so
they sandbag.
And they die a lot so they can play in bot lobbies or whatever they're called. So that's possible to go down. So so I've definitely had that experience where I was performing really well because I was better than the people who were my rank level. And so I was getting like doing really well, and all of a sudden they pushed me to like really, really good lobbies with like really, really good people. And I would just get murdered constantly. And then it would boot me back to those lobbies that I was in before. So I would just like spring back and forth between those lobbies because I was never good enough for the good ones, but I was too good for the bad ones. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's nobody in between.
Yeah.
Which I find hard to believe.
It isn't there's nobody in between. They probably just have a very discrete setting on these lobbies.
They're getting treated the same way as you, where they're getting bounced around between, and you're not fighting each other.
I think you're right, Kyle. I actually think there isn't a mid tier. I think honestly what might happen, and I think this might be something that happens in all games, where that like if you're very, very serious, you know, like you're going to keep going into your like pro level, right? If you're a casual level gamer, once you get to that mid tier and then you hit that wall of like expert level, you're going to just quit, right? It's like you're not going to play anymore. So there's just, I think, like a constant cycle of like really low level people getting decent and then quitting the game. So there's no mid tier, right? And then everybody else is just playing forever and they're just really, really good. So like you just never, because I think people just leave, you know.
I definitely feel like, we were talking about this a little bit earlier because we actually played today because the new season came out. But I feel like Apex has run its course in my life. Because I'm around level 150 and like 200 hours or so in the game.
Dear God.
And by, just for those to know, the max level is 500.
Yeah, and so I'm not very far along, and then and that 200 hours is over the course of, like I played before, but I guess the majority of it was like in the last year. But it was like the only game I was playing for a while. So whenever I play something 2 hours at a time or whatever, it'd be on Apex. But anyway, so you know through that time, I think what you were describing, Brad, was I was playing to get better. I was playing with you, playing with Adam, and the goal was to play through a full season, get that full season experience, as well as improve, win some fights, win some games. And I think we did that, but then after I didn't play for probably a solid month, and then I didn't play for most of last season, and then trying to get on where my level didn't change, my KDR didn't change, which it already wasn't good, but it's just like I was at a level, I guess, where now it's just, I don't know, the game just isn't fun to play anymore.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're hitting that wall. Like,
Yeah.
and it's like like honestly, why do we play games? To have fun, right? And so like the hard thing is like the only other option is to push us down to lower level lobbies, and we'll just murder everybody, right? Like we're like good enough. So it's kind of like what do you do with the mid tier players? I guess at the end of the day, as a game company, you have no incentive to help the mid tier players stick around.
That's true.
Because they're not going to probably put money in. They're not going to really share with their friends. They're not, you know what I'm saying? Like, you want to cater to new people to get their money and spit them out. And then you want to cater to the long term, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
I wonder what that's like. I've probably put like, 40 hours in? Less than that. I can't imagine.
What do you mean, what it's like?
Just to have played 200 hours of this game and be like, all right, well, I mean, there's no like end in sight really, but I guess you're just done at that point.
Yeah. I feel like that's kind of like you were saying, Steve, like you don't play a lot of online multiplayer games like just with random people, but you play with like I was saying to you earlier, like you play Splatoon, you play Smash. Well, let me ask you this. Okay.
I mean, not even actually. I played Splatoon for like the year it came out, less than that probably. And I play Smash mostly with my friends. I very rarely go online, and I haven't even touched Smash since Kazuya came out, just because I've been so done with it.
Mm-hmm. So what makes you not play with, like, what makes you not maybe I don't want to categorize you as a not a online game player, but why do you feel like you're not like a
big online game player?
Yeah.
I think so even as a kid, I didn't really enjoy playing Halo online. I played with my friends, tons of multiplayer with my friends, so much Halo 3. I played all the campaigns, but I wasn't excellent at it. And so when I got online, I would mostly just get hammered. And I didn't really have the time or honestly the desire to keep playing and get good enough to hold my own.
Yeah.
I was like, I'd rather just do something that's immediately fun and that has a finishing point. You know, like I like playing a game that has a story or has a goal, and then you get to the end and you don't feel obligated to keep playing. Sometimes I do feel like that. Maybe that's just me. I feel obligated to finish games sometimes. But yeah, I like a game that has a strong end, and I like stories. So for me, online multiplayer doesn't really scratch that itch that much. More recently, when Ultimate came out, Smash Ultimate, I got fairly good because I played with a lot of people consistently. And so then I played a little bit more online, and I would just, attempt to get out there and get my bread. There's no bread there though. It's all death, and Nintendo really. Anyway,
Death bread.
That's what it is. But yeah, it's just for me, it's not interesting. I'll play I play Apex with you guys because it's fun to play with my friends, even if it is competitive. But then I'm not just gonna go out there and stick my neck out. At least not a lot. I've done it occasionally, but there's no way I'm playing like 200 hours by myself of any online game.
And that definitely, when I got to 200 hours, it wasn't from playing alone. But I guess to give like context to that 200 hours, because it seems like a big number, like that's essentially 2 hours a day for one season, which was 12 weeks. So, it doesn't take that long to get up to 200 hours, the way the game is played.
And especially since the game has been out for 8 seasons now, or 7 seasons.
Yeah. Not 10. Wait, what season? It's on 10, right? 8.
Oh, I'm thinking of Gears. There. Gears on season 8.
Yeah, I think it just is season 10. But no, that makes sense. So let me ask you this, Steve, because you just mentioned particularly Smash, because I remember watching your ascent. Yeah, you were pretty hardcore. You were playing online with your friends, with the guys that you knew. And you would play like lobbies. Like I'd see you play online. So you feel like for you, the end of that game, because if you think about Smash, at the end of the day, there's no ending for Smash. Like you could play it forever, right? Infinitely.
Yeah.
So there's something drawing you forward. Was it just the pursuit of getting better and you simultaneously enjoying the game and the dynamics of it with your friend group? Or like what was driving you to
it really was mostly my friend group, because in college with Smash Brawl, I played a lot of it with my roommates, but then when Project M came out, and I really liked that. That was a lot more fun, but my roommates didn't want to play.
Ooh.
And I only had a few people I wanted to play with in the physics club at Georgia Tech. So I didn't really get that good. And I didn't have a Wii U. I missed entirely Smash 4. So when Ultimate came out, yeah, it really was playing with my buds. And now that I've moved to Atlanta and none of my roommates play Smash, not really. And there's not a lot of people who play regularly enough to like pose a challenge to me.
They're all beneath you.
Hey, it's real.
They're either beneath me or they're like, you know, competitive players in Atlanta that would probably curb stomp me. So yeah, so it's funny you bring up Smash. Like even Smash, I've basically stopped playing because the only people I really want to play with are in Louisiana. Yeah.
It sounds like you ran into you described it before, but yeah, that's your mid-tier problem. You got to the mid-tier, and then the choices were to like play by yourself, get really good, and then maybe compete in the scene, but then it becomes serious, and then blah blah blah. You know, like, and there's so much behind it, and that's not like your vibe. So Kyle, like, what motivates you to play online games? Like, is it just playing with friends, or is it just like, hey, I enjoy this game, and that's about it. And once I stop enjoying it, I'm good. Like, I'm gonna keep moving. You know.
So I think it's a mixture. I think probably 80% is driven by playing with friends. Like I'll play a terrible game if you guys are online. Like, just because I have more fun playing with somebody in a bad experience, just because the experience of being together is more enjoyable than being by myself most of the time. I think it's been a transition because I used to play a lot of single player games and linear experiences, but I think it was out of just necessity because we didn't have internet at my house until I was in 8th grade and when I was playing RuneScape, and then we didn't have like good internet until I was like a sophomore in high school, and that was when I finally got like an Xbox and was playing online and was really seeing, you know, what playing with friends was like really truly like. And so that was like when the transition started to happen. And so I think that whenever I do play an online game, it's at least initially motivated by someone else is going to play with me.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. Like, well, first of all, it's funny, like your internet story of like when you got internet and when you got good internet is almost exactly the same with me. Except,
for sure.
Yeah, like I got internet, I guess when I was in like 6th grade, 7th grade, but like really, they barely counted. And then I didn't get good internet until I was like a senior in high school, when I literally had to like write a proposal to convince my parents to get better internet, and that it would be cheaper for them to get better internet than for them to keep the dial-up. But anyway, I feel like, you know, it's interesting because I feel like I don't play online games like solely just to play with other people, because I didn't really play online games with friends, like people that I knew, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm 100% used to just playing with randos, you know, like that was most of my experience growing up playing online games. And then, you know, any game that I played with friends was normally like local, you know, like Smash or, you know, some fighting game or, you know, like some other, you know, Dynasty Warriors, whatever it may be, you know. So now I think as an adult, like I kind of like play games to be what I like to call marvelously mediocre. Like I like to be good, but like I also don't like putting in the time to be great. You know what I'm saying? Like like I want to be like I will practice like Apex by myself because I want to get to a point where I'm like proficient enough where I can feel like, okay, I'm proficient and I can like hold my own. And I feel like I don't care if I lose. Like to me, losing, I have fun losing. Like I'll lose all day. It's just it's annoying when I lose in certain ways. But like, yeah, like I want to be proficient. And then when I'm proficient and I feel like, yeah, I'm really good and I feel good about this and I can pick up and play whenever I want, then it doesn't really matter to me anymore. You know, like I'm not going to be, I don't care to be a predator, which is the highest level in Apex. If I became a predator, cool, but I'm not going to sacrifice anything, you know.
Not working towards it. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and it's interesting because I also believe that a lot of internet gaming comes down to when you get introduced to it. Like me and Kyle right now are playing Pokemon Unite, right? And literally it dropped. When did it drop, Kyle? Like,
so they just made 14 days, but I think last week it was in beta. And so it's like been open for this past week.
Yeah. So like we're playing like as the game literally is evolving. And I to me, I think this is like the best experience. Me and Kyle are talking about like we're not sure if we're gonna stick around, but it's cool to be a part of it when it's fresh and everybody's learning. You know,
right?
Like you feel the same way, Kyle?
Yeah, I do. And you know, a lot of the things that are going to make it, I guess, difficult to play later are already rearing their heads. Like people who only are playing the game are figuring out such deep, intricate strategies to make it to where people like us who have full-time jobs, who have families, who just want to play and like you said, get good at the game. Like if they're in the same match as us, we can't even play.
Yeah.
That's one thing I was going to bring up is I don't really, how do I put this? It's the meta, right? Like when you play online when you play a single player game, the meta is whatever the game developers designed. Like this is the way we want you to play. We design your weapons and your movement and the enemies and the enemy AI and the levels around an experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're playing against people, the meta can change. People realize like, oh, this is a good strategy, and then people come up with a counter strategy. And for me, that's exhausting. Like to keep up with what's the newest meta.
Yeah.
I just want to play the game and like learn how to play it and not feel like the game is playing against me, which is literally what happens with online games. I will say that for the most part, it doesn't feel like that happens in Apex. I feel like the game is level enough that I can just win or lose a confrontation based on my skill and you know, maybe some amount of of understanding the map and going around, somebody flanking, you know, just basic tactics.
Yeah.
It isn't. I know that there is some stuff like, oh, the Spitfire was overpowered. Oh no, and now the Spitfire is underpowered, and it's the bow check that's overpowered. So it's definitely there, and I definitely don't love it, but it doesn't feel as crazy as it did with like Halo. And that's one thing that I think would really bother me about Pokemon Unite, which is what you guys are describing. It's that people are coming up with these crazy strategies, and all you can really do is hope you don't run into those people, or yourselves take up the strategy, or come up with a counter strategy, which can be satisfying.
That's interesting because I think you know what it is. It's kind of so Smash Brothers. Like you guys know, I love Smash Brothers in college. I played it a lot, and I would say that I'm pretty good. Like I'm definitely not like pro level, but I could probably beat most people who think they're good. Not to be like, you know, like I feel pretty confident about that because I played it a lot. And I think one thing that I liked about Smash, and I think you hit it like perfectly, Steve, is that I never thought about the meta. Matter of fact, I didn't even know the word meta existed when I played Smash. But I played Smash enough where it's almost natural to me. Like I can now say it. Like I can say, oh, the reason that I do this is because of this, right?
Sure.
But the reason I did it when I played it was because I played with friends, and my friend would play like Mewtwo and do a thing, and I would just eventually learn Mewtwo spacing or something, right? Or, oh, like I learned timing on dodges, spot dodges, or whatever, or how, you know, angling my attacks. But it was never with the goal to optimize the game, right? Like, what's the best strategy for using Falco? Like, nah, I just wanted to beat your behind with Falco. I didn't care
Right.
what it took. Like, I was going to
Right.
get you, you know?
Yeah, it was
and
literal just combat experience, not like military
Yes.
knowledge of the game.
Exactly. Battle
So,
experience. Yeah.
In a first person game, that's what you're supposed to take away is like, how can I be really good at what I'm doing? But in a multiplayer game, you always have to be thinking, what is the other person doing? Well, how do I counter that? How do I get in their heads? For me, that's not as enjoyable, personally.
I think it's interesting because I loved single player experiences. Like that probably, you know, I guess I struggle with single players because I know I'm going to beat it. Like sometimes, like I just know I'm gonna beat it. Like I don't like sure this challenge, and a part of me enjoys games because of the challenge and like beating some task. But I know I'm gonna beat it. Like I'm not you're like, oh man, am I gonna beat this game? You know, like maybe Dark Souls or something or some game like that. Maybe I wonder it. But like to me, I love the idea that I might lose in any confrontation with some individual. I guess I enjoy the competition. And I enjoy the, and I think that's kind of where I'm at now in my gaming experience, I'm realizing.
It makes perfect sense, yeah.
Yeah, so, like, Pokemon Unite, just to help you a little bit, Steve, like, there's definitely metas. Like, there's people who play MOBAs and multiplayer online battle arenas or whatever, who are, like, gonna have all these metas and all that stuff. But in general, everybody's kind of garbage in the game. And you're just kind of like trying to learn, So it doesn't feel like meta. It feels more like you're just playing and like, I figured out that this person, if you do this and this, is kind of fun. It works really well. Like, like Gengar is broken. That's the meta right now. Gengar is broken.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I main Gengar.
Ooh, you would. You would be that guy.
You would.
So I think that what you described earlier, Steve, about your experience with Apex was also mine. I don't know if it was yours too, Brad, but this idea that every encounter I got into wasn't quote unquote fair, but it was balanced, right? Like the person that I'm fighting against, maybe they're a little better than me, maybe they're a little worse, but the odds aren't like drastically stacked in their favor. And like that's what I'm feeling now from Apex is that probably 75% of our encounters are the people who I shouldn't be fighting.
Very true.
It's just like it is one thing if we're having a fair fight. It's another thing if they're playing a completely different game than I am. And so, and you feel that in the first moment, like you both peek your head out, right? And if somebody's even with you, you'll hit each other the same amount, maybe. Or maybe they get the drop on you, hit you more, whatever. But if you both poke your head out and you're completely melted in a matter of seconds, and it's like, I'm level 150. I have no idea what you even did,
Exactly. Yeah, and then I think Smurfing compounds on that because if people were playing their level, then you'd be able to play with more people your level. Like, there's definitely got to be people like myself, Kyle, Steve out there who are just like, hey, I like this game and I want to play it like when I have some time, right? But the problem is now we're encountering, like, there's so many Smurfs in Apex. It is so crazy. I would say that, like, at this point, 50% of my encounters in that game are Smurf accounts. Maybe more. Like, it's crazy, like, how many level 12s. Like, I'm 160, 70, 80 or something. I'm getting worked by people who are level 5. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not talking like work, like, oh, the person kind of got me and they used, like you were saying, Steve, like, oh, like I can use flanking or something. I'm talking, they're doing, like Kyle just said, stuff that I've never seen. Like they're doing like crazy stuff. And it's because they don't want to play in the NBA. They want to play in high school basketball, right? And because they want to win. And so for me, as a person who actually does want to enjoy the game, I can't even, like, I just want to play and just like have a little bit of competition, like jiu-jitsu, they have different belt levels, like, and if you're a black belt versus a white belt, you're not going to beat a black belt if you're a white belt. It doesn't matter what you do. You know what I'm saying? But there's no like true online game equivalency to those belting systems where you can't really fake it in like martial arts or in basketball, really. You know what I'm saying? Like when somebody's clearly better, you're like, oh, like you shouldn't be playing with this. You know what I'm saying?
Well, not at first, maybe. Like if someone walks up to you and is in a black suit, his tuxedo, you're not going to know that his hands are legal weapons until he puts them on you.
Well, what I mean is like if you play basketball at your local rec center, right? Like homeboy comes up, you've never seen him play, nobody knows him, and then he starts doing windmill 360s and like dunking on people and like pulling up J's and stuff. You're like, oh, that Chris is like used to play in the European League. You know what I'm saying? And people know Chris now. and Chris can't come back with the mustache on. You know what I'm saying?
Right. You can't come back. That's
I
the thing.
see. Yeah.
Returning.
But he could go somewhere else.
He
could go to another.
He could go somewhere else, but like literally having the what do you call it? The geography makes it impossible. But online play, you can have 10 Smurf accounts because it doesn't matter. Like you're just sitting at your desk, and I feel like I don't know. It kills online play for me. You know.
I wonder if they use any sort of differential or integral controls when they're ranking people for what lobbies they should be in. Like if it's just based on your current skill and how you're playing, I assume you'll rise up the ranks at some speed. But I'm like, if you're so far ahead of everybody else, it should crank it up. Yeah, not just proportional, but like proportional to the derivative of your change. Yeah. Or the integral of a change. Yeah. I don't know.
I assume that's what's happening with these Smurf accounts, but the thing is, like, I think the Smurf accounts, because there is some, like, if I'm a level 5, I can not really ever be in a lobby with a level 500. They always, like, fall in the middle somewhere, And, and then they make, like, 20 of them. Like, I'm pretty sure they just make Google accounts, like, and just like, oh, when this one gets too high ranked, I'm going to switch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure. You can make infinite Epic Games accounts with your Google. Yeah.
So here's my thing is that if it's possible to get ranked lower because you're playing badly against people who are better than you, why isn't that enough? Why do people feel the need to completely reset and not even... Because if you keep losing, eventually you're going to end up with a group of people who you can beat. So I'm like, why don't you just do that instead of making a million accounts?
I think it comes down to maybe the consistency. Because even when we play a handful of games and, we keep dealing with these Smurf accounts, keep losing, they'll eventually put us in a lobby that feels fairer. But if we do well there, we're right back with those Smurf accounts. So if they make a Smurf account, that puts them all the way at the bottom. And then they could have like a consistent string of, 20, 30, 40 games where they're only playing against people that they just mollywop. They don't have to deal with, the scaling.
Right.
Yeah, and it takes 5 seconds to make a Gmail account, and it takes hours to get your KDR low enough because after a point of like how many games you play, you can't. It's really, it's like it's harder to average down, to a certain point, and so it's so much easier. I really honestly feel like somebody needs to make a system. Maybe I need to do it. Maybe we need to do it. I feel like there needs to be like a real game ID, right? Like it's a universal account. That is you. Like, it is your entity. Like, it is me, Bradston Henry. I might have all different, the Gospel Gamer, Black Chap 06, whatever my different handles are. But, like, this is my true account. And if somebody's not playing on a true account, like, they are put in a different type of game. Mm-hmm. like they play with a whole bunch of, if you want to be anonymous, sure, play with your anonymous friends and all the Smurfs and all these people who might be cheating and hacking. But if you want to play this game with other people, you need to have a real ID. Of course, people will hack it and they'll find a way to do it. But I feel like...
This is another barrier.
Exactly. Just one more barrier. And move the goalpost, Maybe that's... You were putting it out in the world so somebody might steal it. But I feel like that's it. Like,
if it gets done, I won't even care, man.
I mean, heck, even if what you're saying was that you can make a new Epic account with the same Gmail address by putting a period or something?
Yeah, like you just make another, like if my email is bradtheboss@gmail, I just make bradtheboss2 and make a new Epic account. Bradtheboss3.
Oh, that's a new Gmail.
Yeah, new Gmail
account.
Yeah, like you can all, and there's no, and Epic's not gonna stop it because they don't know if you're a real person or like a real little kid or a grown person who's starting the game. Like it's
they just want that money.
So something I don't know if you realize, but Gmail doesn't. It ignores periods and capitalizations, and it also ignores everything after a plus sign in your address.
Oh, after a plus sign?
Yes. Huh. So if for example, if my email address is stevehooper@gmail.com, I can make accounts with Steve Hooper and then Steve.Hooper, and a lot of places would consider those different accounts.
But it'd be the same. It'd go to the same.
But it's the same Gmail. And if I really wanted to, I could also say Steve Hooper +1, Steve Hooper +2, Steve Hooper +3, and they'd all look totally different, but they'd all be the same
Really?
Gmail address.
So if
Yeah.
I made a new
crazy.
account, I gotta, not that I don't know if I want to try.
You don't even have to make a new Gmail account. You
So I
just
could, so say I had a
iterate.
So I say I had so if I made a Pokemon Unite account with Brad, the boss, right?
Yeah.
So I could literally go make a new Nintendo account, Brad the boss +1, and it'd be a new account as far as Nintendo is concerned, but as far as like messaging from, it would come to the same inbox.
And yes, and as far as Gmail is concerned, it would go to the same inbox. I'm not positive that Nintendo won't notice.
Okay.
Maybe they have a system in place that says, "Hey, that's the same Gmail. We're not going to do that."
So
But
interesting.
I mean,
But there's a
where I
chance,
work-
I guess. That's still crazy if there's a chance that it
it's
will.
a large chance. I
Yeah.
would say, yeah.
I mean, maybe
Because that doesn't.
Wow. Yeah, because I see so
Like,
many
so-
player 1, 2, 3, 4, 5s. You know, like,
Mhm.
like maybe they're exploiting that system.
Wow. That's a
Yeah.
huge exploit. If it, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was what I was going to say is, if that's what people are doing, then Epic could just say, put a system in place that filters those accounts and says, "Oh, this is actually a pre-existing account. We're not going to let you do that."
You know, this is really weird, but it's like I'm all about freedom, right? In the world, I want people.
America.
I hate freedom. No, I'm kidding. Please continue.
I wouldn't say like I'm a libertarian and that everybody needs to, do their own thing, but I definitely want people to feel free to live their lives, right? Like if you want to eat your toenails, eat your toenails, man. Like live your dream. Like do your thing.
Just don't eat my toenails.
Just don't eat my toenails. You know what I'm saying? Do it in your house. If you want to play your games and if you want to Smurf, do your things in a way. But I think like I'm actually really for, as much as I dislike Apple, as much as I dislike companies that like force you to go through one place to do something, it does have that ability for quality control, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because like I just saw recently that Apex banned like a whole bunch of accounts, and like 1,800 of, like it was 2,000 total accounts, and 1,800 of them were PlayStation 4 accounts or PlayStation accounts. And I was saying this to Kyle earlier. I'm like, yo, if you're a PlayStation person and you get banned, you have to get like a whole new PlayStation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's
like,
huge.
It's like there's no way around it, right? Because there's only one gateway into something, right? But with computers and PCs or whatever, you can do in Steam and all this, like, whatever.
There's no way to ban the hardware.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're
And
a completely different person in seconds.
And I feel like that's the only reason why, like, I'm like, hey, I wish there was some kind of hardware tag, right? Like, you have your game and it's directly etched into this hardware tag. Like, I don't know. Like, I just feel like there needs to be more accountability for negative behavior, because you won't go out in the street in Smurf, you know what I'm saying? Because there's accountability, right? Like, you're not going to do that thing we just talked about with basketball,
Identity theft is not a joke, Jim.
Aside, this is really stupid.
Office humor.
This is really dumb. Aside from like the inconvenience of dying in a game because I have been smurfed by somebody, I also just hate the concept of it, because it adds to the entropy of the universe, right? Like, what are all these accounts doing? They're just sitting around. They're not doing anything. I hate
True.
I hate garbage. People are creating garbage. I know it doesn't really mean much, and it doesn't really actually hurt much, but
No,
it hurts.
I think
It hurts my sensibilities.
I think you're making a good point. If somebody makes 10, like, think about a kid now who knows about Smurfing, who lacks the ability to be okay with not being great and just being like, hey, this is what I am, and feels like they're almost entitled to winning, so they continue to create this, right? And they start,
And they have a lot of free time.
Mm-hmm.
and they start at 7 years old. And this is who they are now. Like, this is them. And now they're 30 years old.
On
How many TT to TV or whatever? Like, how many Gmail accounts they have created from 70 to 30 to remain their Smurf lifestyle? And how many servers have been created to hold their data? You know what I'm saying? There is an actual impact, like in a physical sense, like digital data has to be stored somewhere, and it's gonna, and I guess Google could go through once in a while and purge stuff if they wanted to, like, oh, this has been inactive for 3 years, but that's probably also like probably illegal. to do that. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think I don't know. Like, I think online gaming is like one of the greatest things that's ever happened to me as a nerd. But
as a human being.
But it's also just, I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, Steve, you need to play Pokemon Unite with us.
That's what we were. That's all we're talking about.
You need to play Gengar. You need. That's what I'm hearing.
Like on some legit stuff. Like, it's kind of turning the corner. Like, Pokemon Unite is a really fun game.
It's
like,
good right now.
Yeah, right now. Like, you know, I don't know. I mean, Kyle, what's your pitch? Give your elevator pitch for Steve to play Pokemon Unite with us. Go. You got it. How do you
Have you ever wanted to play a real-time Pokemon game?
I'm good.
Kind of.
Well, then play Pokemon Unite with us. Come on, man. Jeez. Why is it so hard? It's free.
It's a terrible pitch. It's free. Well, there you go.
So weak. Do you want to play a Pokemon game that's free? Play this. I guess yes, that works. Like, actually, to me, it being a Pokemon game actually like dissuaded me from trying to play it.
Oh, for real? Yeah.
You know, I'm like,
Yeah, I'll agree with that because the way they like the advertising I saw, it was like introducing a Pokemon MOBA, and then it showed Charizard like just blasting Pikachu from this super weird top-down perspective with an arrow, and I was like, none of that looks fun. None of that looks good at all. But it's okay.
It was good. I was wrong.
It was.
I think it goes back to, you know, as much as I've had to rethink my position on Breath of the Wild, and then I wish it wasn't a Zelda game. I think it goes back to the fact that Breath of the Wild is a good game. And it wouldn't really matter if it was Zelda or Leroy, The Legend of Leroy. Like, it would still be a great game, you know?
But would you play it?
I would probably play it more if it was The Legend of Leroy. Hi, my name Leroy. We going on an adventure. Let's go. You know, like, I would love that game. You know, Leroy.
I got the master stick from the bayou.
I got the master pipe. You know, it'd be like a pipe he found somewhere in a ditch. People, but
is that a ferret? No, that's a moth.
Well, I'm gonna hit it anyway with the magical pipe. But that being said, Steve, Pokemon Unite is a fun game. Like, it wouldn't matter if it was Pokemon. It's just fun, and especially, first of all, Nintendo is completely horrible with online and parties and becoming friends with people, and they got to figure that out because, you know, it's just like arbitrary rules. Like, if you have more than 4 people in a party, you can't play like ranked or stuff, you know, and
classic Nintendo,
you know, stuff that just completely makes no sense.
Oh, and every time you play a match, choosing your character.
Oh my goodness, it's just terrible. Like, and there's things you can't adjust in the UI. Oh my goodness, how many different reward systems are there? And they're in different places in the menu. Some that you would never find if you didn't.
We're starting to counteract all the work we did to convince him to play.
But with that being said, it's fun.
Kyle, is it more obnoxious than Monster Hunter World?
No, I will say it's not, because at the very least, you can read everything in Pokemon Unite.
Okay.
Yes. And you're not trapped in completely, utterly terrible story missions that you can't not play. Like,
skip.
Oh my god.
And you can't play with friends until arbitrary moments.
You watch the cutscene.
Now.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I think that Monster Hunter World is the single worst online experience I've ever had.
Yes. At least the early game.
At least the early game, absolutely.
Sure, the early game. Well, probably mostly the early game, but I didn't get past the early game.
Because it was
why?
So garbage.
Yeah, it's like, why do I have to work? I know we already talked about Borderlands for like a whole dang hour, but Borderlands 2 and even Borderlands 3 have, I think, the perfect. I mean, they're in terms of like story and game structure, they're very similar to Monster Hunter World because you have missions and you have story like cutscenes and stuff, and you have side missions and the freedom to go where you want and do these things.
Right.
But Borderlands 2 and 3 were like perfect.
Seamless.
Seamless. Totally seamless. You jump in someone's party. If they're already playing, you just appear next to them. If they're on a mission that you've played before, you have that mission. You just won't get a reward for it at the end of it. If they're on a mission you haven't played before, that's fine. You'll just be a little underleveled, and you'll probably need them to carry you. But like, you can play that mission, and then when you're playing by yourself later and time comes for that mission, it just skips it for you. It's like, oh, you've done this, congrats.
Yeah.
Right?
No
and
nonsense.
if you really want to play it, you can try it, I guess.
I think.
But oh, sorry. That's my rant. I'm done. Yeah.
Are you sure? I kind of interrupted you.
No, I'll continue. I in Monster Hunter, it's like, you guys know, you have to jump through all these hoops, even to join somebody's party, and then you have to let someone go into the mission first, and you can't have already played it. No, you can replay missions actually, but you can't play above your level, which means that you basically can't play any mission that's more than like 1 or 2 missions ahead of you.
So dumb.
And then you can't just join the mission they're on. They have to watch the cutscene.
Exactly. That's the worst part.
You all have to. I think you all have to have watched the cutscene
prior to.
Yeah, solo, individually, and then you can set up like a flare, and then people can join.
But then other people who are not people you want to join can join if you're not fast enough at getting the people that you want to join. You know, that's just garbage.
Because
so I wasn't crazy, right?
System.
I wasn't misremembering it.
No.
That's the only way to have people join is to publicly open your server for everyone.
Yeah.
For those particular ones where you couldn't have anybody come in with you, yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's what I thought happened. I thought we were just misunderstanding how to join.
No, it was bad.
Okay. Yeah. But what were you saying, Kyle, earlier? Before you and
when you interrupted
Steve interrupted each other.
So when I rudely interrupted you earlier, I was going to mention, I guess, the thing that Monster Hunter and a lot of these like poor multiplayer experiences have in common are these like experience halting restrictions that don't make any sense. Like, it's one thing if it's a restriction for like sake of the player. I'm all for that. Hardware limitations or something weird like that, I'm good. But if it's something dumb, like we've talked about, you know, there's really no reason, because what Brad was talking about earlier with you have 4 people on a team or in a lobby in Pokemon Unite, you can't join ranked, which the max team size is 5. But when they had 3 players, they were able to join. Like, that type of restriction makes absolutely no sense. And then on this other side,
wouldn't you have a too small of a team if you only have 3 people?
Well, yes, but it was filling. Mm-hmm. So you could fill, like, what's the difference? Like, I would think it'd be almost easier, I guess, to fill 1 person versus 2.
Yeah, so this is where I think the issue with both of these games is lack of competition. Because, like, think about, like, Apex. Apex has to deal with the world of Call of Duty, Fortnite, PUBG, and just name it. Like, all these games that are trying to fight for the Battle Royale world, right? Mm-hmm. So you got to stay in your P's and Q's, and you can't let problems sit around too long, right? Like, literally, I mean, maybe Monster Hunter has some competition, but really it has none. Like, there's nobody on this level. I mean, the level of quality. I mean, that thing looks incredible. That game, the animations, like...
So many systems, so many monsters.
Dauntless tried.
Yeah. Oh, man.
That's true.
It was even free.
But that's the thing, like, that's not competition to Monster Hunter. That's just, you know, the indie version of Monster Hunter.
Right.
That's what it became, yeah.
You know? Like, and to be honest, like, Monster Hunter knows this. Because in Japan... Like, they know that people will deal with this foolishness because they love Monster Hunter. It's like crack. It's like we don't have to put crack in nice packages because people gonna smoke the crack, irrelevant of, you know, like they just gonna get it. There's no competition.
How do you get to it the quickest?
Exactly. And I feel like
the sharpest angles.
Pokemon Unite's competition technically would be like League of Legends, but they're not competing with each other. Like,
League isn't on the Switch.
Like,
I don't think so. It should be, though. I mean, now that you mention it.
It might be, but, like, is it competing with League of Legends? Like, are we the people that are going to play League of Legends and Pokemon Unite? Like, I'll play Pokemon Unite, but I probably won't play League just because they're just not level of, I don't know, like in a Switch game, right?
I feel like there's people like me who have played League, and so Pokemon Unite is like a breath of fresh air because of how toxic
fresh air is. Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Wait, say that again? It's a breath of fresh air because of why?
Because of how toxic League is. Like, because I played League relatively early. There were only, you know, maybe 30 champions, I don't know, whatever they're called, in League when I first started playing early in college. And the toxicity just grew and grew with the community, and you couldn't play the game. Like it just wasn't. And so I guess that part of how Nintendo handles online, where there's literally like barely any communication when you're playing the game, unless you're like talking to the people you're playing with on Discord or something. Yeah. It's so nice. Because MOBAs are fun gameplay wise.
Sorry, continue. You say MOBAs are fun gameplay wise?
Yeah, that's all I was gonna say.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when you say toxicity, you mean like people, when you play games with them, they're like super negative, or like that?
Yeah. So it's a combination of being like overly competitive and super negative, and the community as a whole is notoriously noob friendly. Like if you don't know your character and its build in and out, game one, you will get crucified by your team. Yes. Mercilessly. Like it's ridiculous. And there's like nothing there's no way to counteract it, because there's in-game chat as well as like open mic, I think, whenever you're, playing with randos. Like, and you can mute your mic or whatever, but like the in-game chat, last time I played at least, they could write slurs and stuff. Like they could write whatever they wanted. And if it was your first game, or if you were just a casual player and you were playing with some randos, and you choose the jungler, but you go to the bottom lane, and it's over. Like you lost the entire game for the entire team just being down there in the first 2 minutes of the game,
and then it's all on you. And they're gonna this actually brings me to something that I haven't really said to many people, but there's a reason that I never ever speak on mic on online games. And it's because, like, to me, the toxicity in the game community is what it is. Like, I just kind of like try my best to tune out, but sometimes, like, it changes your spirit sometimes. Like, it'll, like, I remember one time, Kyle, you were telling me, like, you were playing, I think it was Apex, and you were saying, like, it, like, really, like, the people, how they were treating you was, like, just completely ruined your day.
Yeah, I'll never forget it.
And maybe you want to share that experience, but I just know that, like, growing up playing games online, me being a person of color, like being black, like, is not that, like, it's something that I think they can actually hurt me or something, but like playing a game online and then you make a bad move and then somebody calling you the N-word, like, like you're a human. You made a mistake. That has nothing to do. I prefer somebody not knowing my race and just calling me an idiot, or like maybe, talking down to me. But like all of a sudden, once they feel like they have a target, something to snipe you with, then it's like, and then I have to sit in this game. And what are my choices? One is to like get so angry that I rage quit, and then, like, and I refuse to give them that ground. Like, I'm going to stick in this game and you're going to watch. I'm going to be trash the whole game with you now. Like, not on purpose, but that's just what it's going to be. I'm going to try my best, But like, right. Like opening my mic, like I still am afraid to do it in Apex. I haven't really done it because I'm like afraid that I'm going to play and I'm going to do something bad. And yeah, people say like, man, why are you such a noob? Like, you should be better. You need to go and train, and you should, what, let me tell you guys what you need to do. Like, people talking out, but I just don't want to add that element. Like,
yeah,
and I don't know, that toxicity is it can ruin the whole experience.
So I actually have an experience with that. You guys remember Deep Rock Galactic?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I really like that game. I'm really sad you guys won't play with me anymore.
It's not that. So describe Deep Rock Galactic to people, just because some people might not know what it is.
Deep Rock Galactic is a really silly. It's not super silly. It's somewhat silly. Basically, it's a game where you play as space dwarves, and the game is sectioned up into missions. So you start a mission, you go down to this planet, you dig underground. And you're in this procedurally generated cavern. Is it procedural? No, I don't remember.
Yeah, you're right. I think
mostly, yeah. I think it has like a tile system to a degree.
Yeah, I think because sometimes it felt familiar. But anyway, no, I think there are zones.
I mean,
anyway,
even if it's tiled, it's procedural. It's still
like yeah. You go to this cavern, And the point of the cavern is to explore and collect all these different minerals. And there'll be some goal like, oh, collect this much gold ore or this much of some random element. Or there'll be more specialized missions like protect the package. There's a giant robot you have to protect from monsters as it crawls through the caverns. Or you have to get the eggs of these really scary looking monsters and they attack you when you steal their eggs. Mm-hmm. So it's just you have 4 players, you can play online with your friends, and there's classes so that everyone has different skills that you require you don't require them, but it makes it much easier and more fun. So one guy can make platforms and anyone can jump on these platforms. There is fall damage. One guy's a zip line, so we can like zip around the caves and explore. You have to manage flares because the caves are dark by default. You have a little flashlight, but your flares can temporarily light up a room. But there's a finite regenerating amount of flares that you have. So anyway, it's a team-based, class-based, I guess you could say excavation/combat game because you're also fighting these monster insects that appear and in waves and they attack you. It's a lot of fun. And I was playing with my roommate Brandy and Brad and Kyle. But one time, Brandy and I were playing with some other friends that I have, and one of them I knew, and one of them I did not know. He was like a friend of a friend, and the friend of a friend, I'm gonna call him Trevor. Trevor is my other roommate's name, but no relation.
No relation. Trevor.
No relation whatsoever. That's just the first thing that came to mind. So Trevor did not do this, but we're gonna call him Trevor. But Trevor was like, I mean, both Trevor and the friend that we're playing with are pretty hardcore, but Trevor was really hardcore, and they had a totally different way of playing the game. So when the 4 of us played, we would play like we would really enjoy ourselves. Wait, am I thinking about this wrong? No, we would really enjoy ourselves and we'd take our time, and then when we got to our goal, we would leave. These guys milked every mission for what it was worth. Like they didn't want to leave until they had gotten every ounce of every ore and every extra. Like if you had to get 20 eggs, they wanted to get all 30 of the eggs that had spawned.
Oh wow!
You know, they were those boys, and they were also hyper tactical. Like, you know, it's the kind of thing where it's like you have a drill sergeant and he's giving out orders and everyone is expected to obey. That was kind of what this guy was doing.
Ooh.
And it was kind of stressful sometimes, you know, if you didn't do what he expected. Or I play as a scout, and so as a scout, like I'm the one launching like really nice big bright flares that last a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm also the one who can get with my zip line, or my grapple hook, I can like get the elements that are up in the ceiling that no one else can really get. Apparently he usually plays as the scout, but he was letting me play because I was kind of new, and he's more experienced with a bunch of other classes as well. So he had a lot of expectations for me that I didn't always meet.
Yeah.
Brandy liked to play, I think it was Brandy. I think this is what he was doing, but he liked to play with the class with the zip line. So it's a zip line launcher, and basically you create a bridge that everybody else can use to get across these vast chasms. And that's a very heavily relied upon class. So he was always telling Brandy what to do and where to go. And there was one point where like we were being attacked by these real big monsters that were super dangerous. And even when you killed them, they would explode and leave like huge craters.
Yeah.
And it's a real problem. And so we were in these little caves that attached to this big open space. And we were trying to, you know, navigate these little labyrinth caves to get out to the open space and run away. But at one point, Brandy fell behind because he's not as nimble as I am. And so I went back to like lead the way because you can get lost.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I went back to get him, and we get out and we narrowly escaped because this thing had come down on where was bearing down on us. The other guys had already left and were like across the room. And they were like, hurry up, and like, don't go back for him. They were upset with me for going back for him.
Wow.
And they're like, you know, he dies. Like, it's better to lose one than lose both of you, which is tactically it's correct, right? Like, it's really sucks if you have to go revive somebody, and it's even worse if you have to revive 2 people and there's like swarms and stuff. I get that, but I'm like, look, we're playing a game. I didn't want him to get left behind, and there was no way he could have survived by himself.
Right.
But with both of us, we got out. Like I managed to get us both out, and neither of us died. And it wasn't even close. It was like we got out with plenty of room to spare. But they weren't like talking trash, but it was just a negative atmosphere, and I really didn't enjoy that. And I never played with those guys again.
I feel that.
And I actually haven't played much since then because you guys won't play with me.
When's the last time you even brought it up?
Brought it up. Like now. This is the last time he brought it up.
I told you. I will play any
I bring it up, and
game.
Brad is like, I'll never play that game.
So I'll tell you why we probably stopped playing, Brad and I, is because we played it pretty religiously for a good little bit. And we would hop on because we had a goal. Because it would tell us, you can, what was it?
Oh yeah, you could use those modules or whatever, that the stations.
There was like the beginner's track, the beginner's season. Season is what it is, I guess.
You can get a, not an upgrade. What was it called? A promotion. You can get a promotion.
That's what it was.
And so we worked super hard to get to the level to where we can get a promotion for each of our classes. Like tons of missions, man. It was wild. And we get there, and effectively it was a retcon. Like it was
a retcon.
Yeah, like it would get rid of all your stats and some other thing. Like it would unlock the other stuff, but it was like there was more negative, and then also more of the same. It was presenting. Like it was saying we had to do another like 30 missions. And
did you guys do this without me? Because I don't remember that.
Yeah, we did.
It was at some point we were just playing. Like you weren't able to play for some reason. We were just playing randomly and like, oh, let's just do these missions. And yeah, it was just super deflating. Like it was, I don't think, it's been a while since I played a game where legitimately I was discouraged by doing, like, getting the next thing. Like normally, like in a game, you get that thing and you're like, awesome, I got a new weapon, it looks cool and got a cool skin. Like this one, it was like, wow, like this is actually hurts me.
Yeah, because it had been that up to that point, because they kept giving us new loadouts and then modifications.
You could like upgrade your weapons and stuff.
Yeah,
right.
It just felt really weak. It just felt really weak, and we had done so much to get to that point, and it was like, this is what you're giving me? It's like how in Zelda Breath of the Wild they disrespect you if you get all those Korok seeds. you know what I'm saying, and they give you a doo-doo statue, a gold doo-doo statue for going and getting all these seeds, like the hardest thing in the game.
900 seeds.
Yeah. So
what was the label on it? Like the label said like it smelled funny or something.
It smelled funny.
Yeah.
And it was
real talk. I heard about people doing that. You always hear about people 100%ing a game. But I had heard that like people were trying to 100% this, and the few that did it were like, don't bother. It's not fun.
Yeah.
And they worked really hard to make it happen, and then they got a poo.
Yep.
Our friend Caleb did that.
He did.
He naturally, just playing the way he plays, 100%ed the entire game.
Wow.
All the shrines, all the seeds, the poo, everything. And I was like, I remember telling him like, man, don't go out of your way. He's like, oh, I'm not. And he still did. He still got all 900.
I mean, hey, he's a completionist, and it's the way he plays. Hey, good on him.
Yeah.
Some people, it's the journey, but I don't know. When like the carrot on the stick thing is kind of how I felt. And it was like the carrot was plastic.
Yeah.
I will say this. When those hardcore guys are playing with Brandy and I, they had, at least one of them had this really bomb weapon. It was like, it looked like a weapon from Dead Space. Like it looked insane. So, I mean, there's definitely some joy later on. And that game's also like still currently getting lots of updates, right? Like I really want to go back and see how it is.
Yeah, I feel like yeah, I'd be down. I just feel like it goes back to that thing. Like you get hurt, traumatized. Like it's hard to like motivate yourself, and Pokemon Unite's kind of maybe like I sharing my story with Pokemon of my Pokemon save getting deleted. Like I have literally avoided Pokemon games, and like this one feels like a breath of fresh air. Yep.
That's the one.
Whatever, the air don't stink, and it's really been it's really been good. And it's like as much as we've been trashing like online gaming, like the reason I don't stop is because there's been really great moments. Like some moments that like just like, you know, like I've shared some in the past on the podcast, or like even a really good game after a really bad set of 10 terrible games that really uplifts your spirits. And like, you know, like it's fun, but it just stinks that there's like this negative side, you know, that you kind of have to accept in order to play. Like, I don't really, you know,
I'm with you.
Yeah, you know, and you know, I want my wife to play Minecraft, right? She plays Minecraft. She enjoys it. And I'm like, "Oh, you should play online." But a part of me is like, I don't want her to play online. You know, like I don't want her to I only want her to play with people she knows. Like I never want her to just, you know, jump.
You want to protect people from the internet.
You know, but you know, Pokemon Unite does the right thing in the sense that it's just like they, you know, being anonymous is not good, but they make it where you're so anonymous, you have so little power against other players.
Mm-hmm.
It's only in the game when you're trash, or, you know, and it's hard to even know what people's motivation is. You know?
Right.
Like you don't know if they're yelling at you and cursing on the other end, because it's just the game is happening, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And
you can't grief anyone.
It's yeah. You know, like I've had games in Apex where a person, like we were doing well, and then a person like discourages me and my teammate, and like me and my teammate, like we're both don't have mics, but we're like, you know, bump that guy. We're gonna stick together, and we're gonna protect each other, and like, and then he needs us, and we're just like, not because we're like being spiteful. It's just that in some cases I will go out of my way and put myself in danger to help somebody, even if it gets me killed. But I'm like, I'm not gonna do that in this case, you know, just because of negative, you know.
And a lot of them, they'll run off, you know, so they'll be like calling out for help, but they're in a 3v1 situation. And it's like, well, you know, you can't help them honestly anyway.
One of my favorite experiences when somebody was trash talking me because they said I was garbage, and then I did something like I was technically better than them, but I just did something stupid. And then I did some like really cool move. Like I killed 2 people and then like revived them and then like did something. And like, I just remember the silence, like on the mic. He's like, good one, man. That was good. like, okay, you had a lot to say about how trash I was a second ago. You're not going to talk about, you know what I'm saying?
I like watching Donkey's videos where he's playing Overwatch or something, and he just gets all the people talking trash about him, and then he plays really well. And I know that's probably not the whole story, but it's really funny to watch.
Yeah. So, well, you know, like I feel like we could talk about online gaming. I have so many more stories and stuff. Like, definitely we'll do like maybe a part 2, maybe in a different way. But
I'll share my Apex story one of these days.
Yeah, maybe we'll just do a story time, just sharing stuff. But yeah, man, I don't know. Like, I feel like number one, online gaming is going nowhere. And in many ways, I don't feel like I'm going anywhere. I'm going to still keep playing games and keep trying and letting my heart get broken, even if...
And then you'll die.
You know, even if it's a Gengar exploit, you know.
Son.
For those playing Pokemon Unite, you know what I'm talking about.
They know.
But they might be, by the time you listen to this, they might have patched it out. So that would be beneficial to everybody. But anyway, I appreciate y'all sharing y'all's thoughts. And I love hearing y'all's stories. And you know we're going to keep playing games together. I will play DRG, Deep Rock Galactic, again. But know that I'll think about what they did to me. What they did to Kyle. What they've done to us all.
It was rough.
It was hurtful. But yeah, thanks so much everybody for listening to this episode of the Super Agile Bros. We always love having you here. We always love talking to you guys. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Steve. And
you're welcome.
Pleasure.
Yes. Thank you. And I look forward to the next one and talking to you guys on the interwebs again soon. So y'all take it easy, and until next time.